So last week's news did not go as I mean, I didn't see that coming. It's one of those that I was really expecting some like bad news from the dollar, and the market would recover from there, and we didn't necessarily get that. The 0.5% that I mean, I'm sorry, the funds rate didn't change. They stayed at 5.5, but Powell's talk was a super confident talk, and the things he was saying just kept tanking the market, pushing the dollar, and it just continued. So dollar still moving up. We did break through this buy side here, um, and we cleared out some of that inefficiency here. So maybe we get a pullback. If we do get a pullback in the dollar, I'm looking at this area right there, this line. That's a pretty good move to the downside. May not get that far, but and we'll probably zoom in on a little bit lower of a time frame to to see if there's anything else we can see. But on the higher time frame, that's the pullback I'd like to see us to get to, and I think that would give us a significant move in the market to the upside. But it's one of those things, man. And at this time right in here, I think I kept looking for strong bearishness from the dollar, and it just kept crushing. Like there's no way the dollar is going to keep going, and it just proved me wrong. No way it's going to keep going, and it just proved me wrong. So I think that's what I'm kind of getting at this point. Is like there's just it doesn't look like it's strong. You know, yeah, it doesn't look like it's crazy strong, but it just keeps proving me wrong. So just positive. I mean, look at all those white candles. Eventually, there's got to be agreement, right? But what you notice in this weekly push all the way up is that there's not a lot of inefficiency in it. You got an inefficiency way down here. You got a little bit that it just, a little bit right there. No, that's yeah, maybe a hair. You got some from last week. Yeah. So it just keeps coming back, filling and going. Yep. And I think that's the reason why it's just not convincing to me that it's going to continue. That we should get more than just a couple of days of a big wick down. Like, just feel like we should pull back significantly. One of these pullbacks, right? Pretty good little area right here. Exactly. Yeah. kind of a consolidation. We popped up, rejected right here at this buy side. So pretty higher time frame buy side right there. So maybe this is the area in which we start pulling back down into this Monday low and continue down for some liquidity, inefficiency, order block, even if we go to like an 8. Yeah. Yeah. I was looking at yesterday was pretty bullish. Um, if you go into lower time frame, like we went from what has ended up being a Monday low, sweeping these and pushed above that, came back for the inefficiency. This would have been a really good trade right here. And then popped, eventually taking out these highs. Not crazy bullish, but definitely a trade in there. So moving out, we'll go to the daily here real quick. And we have a mean threshold, which this come down and bounced off of. This has come down and we've rejected it twice now. If we go to the weekly, you'll see that that's almost consequent encroachment. Consequent encroachment is going to be a little bit lower. About that there. Yeah. So you look at consequent encroachment of that wick, then looks like we've got a little bit more to dive into before we touch it. But mean threshold, we are right there at it. Yeah. Yeah. I kind of like the bounce off of it right now. If we don't hold this, then obviously we're coming further down. We've got reason to come down below that. But I think this is kind of like the fighting point where we do have news that's going to dictate, I think, some of it. Today, consumer confidence, new home sales, Richmond. And then tomorrow, we actually got a core durable goods. Thursday's going to be a big day. Powell speaking at 4 late in the evening, but we got GDP before that. So another decent news week. PMI and PCE on Friday. So if for some reason those numbers are good, then we could see the fall into this inefficiency this week. The fact that we just have not been able to push through and get like a completely nice bullish day without just a strong pullback is just hard to believe. Like I thought this was bullish all day. And then that news just never could break through the 21, even on the 15-minute chart. And it just sold off. So I'm looking at areas to play in, kind of liking this to the bull side. Push down right there, immediate rejection. The weekly, which played strong last week too. Um, yeah, after that huge down day last week on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, just a little grind. Thursday further down, but then overnight, and then we're basically just in like this little range that we've done created down here at the bottom here, trying to determine what's going to happen from here. Kind of like up in here, the way we did that. We're gonna have to have. I mean, again, I was thinking bullish all day long. We done dipped that in here into some overall um, higher time frame liquidity. I thought this was the takeoff. Should have felt it right in there when it just could not break free after market open, and then just sold off from there. So here, just going by what we had to deal with last week, here I am not convinced. You know, play what you can play and take what you can take. I know I've been saying that for a while now, but honestly, it's kind of the way the days have been. Like if it gives you a good move, you can do well off of it. But if it doesn't, then just take what it gives you and get out. Um, Tight risk. So, and I think right now this looks very bullish. Like I like this. Let's go 5-minute chart. Almost too bullish to where it's like, are you tricking me? But I don't think so. Um, Nice rejections off of this line already. And then this right here, just a pretty move, completely off of it. There's that kind of consolidation we got into. Yeah, and we fall into that because the market has given us that before, Fred. Where we could stretch out those partials and take bigger wins. The market was giving us that, and then all of a sudden it would set up like it's going to continue to give us that, and then it won't. Like this right here, right? Nice consolidation, dip down in it, inefficiency covered. We immediately reject off of it. Here's a good trade. We're not only taking out this high, we're going to take out other highs and inefficiency above that, but it doesn't. It just kind of stalls and fizzles. And out of this, at the end of the day, it's probably a bad example, but that to me is what we've been getting. Like even if we took a partial here, it was like a smaller partial, so we could take a bigger profit on the run, and it just doesn't do it. It rolls over and just comes all the way back down and takes you out. So yeah, tighten up partials. I really like this. I mean, leave it up to the Monday open. I mean, the London Open to give us this nice little dip into that mean threshold. Nice rejection out of it. Smaller time frame, little break of structure there. You probably could have jumped in somewhere right in there, caught that move back up to the median, if not the weekly. The weekly has been a very strong point of interest over the last few weeks. It's just been a magnet for it. Yeah. Look at the ES. Let's jump into a little bit higher of a time frame because I think obviously it looks very similar to the NQ, but like how we're kind of building up a little bit right here. On the NQ, it doesn't look like that. It's not as downward, right? NQ looks like we're kind of leveling off. And we have these little dips into the lows and then dips into the lows on the NQ, whereas the ES. Morning, Kyle. Whereas the ES, I don't know how to stretch it like that. It kind of looks similar, but where the point I was making was the ES looks more uniformed in that downward pattern, less moves to the downside. So let me see if I can't put them next door and yeah. So that right there is what. So you see how this is just kind of a leveled off area with little dips into the lows, whereas the ES just kind of gradually moved down here. It hadn't really made new highs, and then we were continuing to make lows. So it wasn't like, this was a lower low, whereas on the NQ, it was a higher low. And then from that higher low, the NQ dipped down. And then here, it was just kind of following the same trend. So a little bit of a detail that's different between the two, where this makes it look like it's more like this, and this makes it look like it's more like that, which would give me a sense of price wanting to move higher. And if so, this too. So maybe one more little dip because that's what it's kind of been doing, right? We've got a slight little higher low if this wants to move up a little bit, but then probably drop before moving up. But it's a small difference in price, but to the eye, like this looks like it is. Now let me go to a different. but to the eye, this is more here, and this is more here. Um, I don't really know, Fred. Like at times, yes, but I think if you lean on that, or if you, well, let me back it up. Anytime I've ever thought of it that way, I kind of get burnt in a way. Like, you know what I mean? Like if I thought um the NQ, I know I've said it at times, but I've always said it like I wonder if the NQ is leading. You know what I mean? Or if the ES is, you know, ahead of everything else and everything's got to catch up with it. Like sometimes I'll get burnt kind of leaning towards a bias like, wow, well, the ES looks like it's going to, do this. And then the NQ dumps. The ES only makes like a double top or whatever and then drops down. And it was really the NQ that was making that move. Whereas, I was paying attention to the ES to be stronger. So I don't know if I would really, yeah, if I would really look at it that way or have that as part of my bias. Like in this sense, I feel like the ES is setting up better liquidity than the NQ, only because I would rather see. I don't want to see sideways consolidation as much as I would like to see like consolidation happening, like up or down. I feel like these pools of liquidity are more predictable than these. And that's just me. Like to me, I can see price wanting to get up into here more so than price. We might pop there, but then drop. Whereas here, like if we get up into this liquidity pool, I fully expect us to continue into some inefficiency above it. And again, that's just kind of like my experience with trading. Um, that doesn't mean like, obviously that's the way it is and that's the way it always happens. See if we can't find a better example or some sort of an example. I don't think I'll find one right in here. Yeah. Yeah, especially above it up in there. Both of them right now have, because of news last week, have quite a bit of inefficiency to come back and get. I just feel like this downward movement on the ES is just building liquidity to the top side of it better than the NQ. So, and I think I was, mentioning it over here that the ES the ES looked cleaner for a week or two, more so than the NQ did. Almost, like it was not that it would be easier to trade the ES at those times, but the setups were almost clearer, to see. You can get a bigger move out of the NQ, but the ES setups were a lot more clear. I know I said that quite a few times for the last couple of weeks, but but Back to the ES real quick. Lower lows here, whereas on the NQ, we're just double bottom. That's the reason why I think this area right here is important to both assets. If the NQ does break down below this mean threshold, then I think the ES follows. Whereas we've already made that lower low, and this could be giving us a sense of price wanting to get back up into this inefficiency because of the liquidity it's building. So on the ES, it's easier for me to see. Like on the NQ, we have a line that we are fighting around, but to me, it's sideways consolidation, and I can't tell whether we're going to go up or down. But on the ES, the reason, grinding this way, like I really feel like the next move is to the upside. So evening, Josh. So, and this might be a good point of interest right there for the ES to reach. If we do kind of jump back up, so somewhere around the 97 range, 97.50, 98. Let's see the one. Doesn't look as good. Let's go to the 15. See if there's a better. Mm-mm. Yeah. This would be a decent little 5-point trade right here. It's happening right now. All right, we got into that block. I would have probably lost money right there. Larger pullback. I think Chris can attest, and he's not here. I don't remember if it was happening to us on Forex or if it was in the futures. When it was a while back, it was just me and Chris in the room. We were getting these beautiful setups like this. If price would pop up, we might have been able to take a partial, but I don't think so. And then price would then dip further down before actually making that move. And it would happen to us like multiple times. I think that's where we kind of started saying all the time, like we were just in too early. Like, look at that, in too early. And then the price would move in the direction. But we'd have this beautiful setup. I mean, look at that. It's right there on an order block. This is that liquidity in which we rejected back up above. Nice little pullback and then a rush through there. I mean, this would have been what I'd have been waiting for. So yeah, I would have definitely lost money right there. I probably would have got in either on this candle push back up or on this rejection right there near that close. And then from here to about there is only about 3 points, maybe 2.5 points before it rejects down below. My stop would have been definitely right there. I would have got hit. And this just needs to go, right? The only concern I've got with that is the way we've kind of grinded up into here. So we've got a pretty good straight line right there with some inefficiency below that. So I might be a little hesitant, but I do like this. I like the way it's setting up. Like it's a little more subtle than what this looked like, but you go into a lower time frame, this right here is going to look like a rejection, consolidation, and then we're starting to push. There you go. A little inefficiency here. Reasons to get into trades. But again, even this, still a pretty good straight line. And the higher time frame definitely looks like we're going to push and get another little move up. But the lower time frame, and I know the higher time frames we should be paying more attention to as far as the direction. But you're kind of in this consolidated pattern. Price doesn't really know which direction it wants to go. I mean, these 15-minute candles were pretty much just in a consistently sideways move right here. In order to be really convincing, I would like to see it push. Yeah, that median. Yeah, and honestly, we're right here at it. So I'd either want to get above it, play that pull back into it to the high, or I want it to dip back down. Maybe not that far, but somewhere into here, give me a reason to get in and then target it. Sweet. It's my last week before fall break. I can't believe, man. It feels like it's gone so quick this year from the start of the year to fall break. So fall break here, we get 2 weeks out. I'll be off for like a solid 2 weeks. As of right now, we're not planning on doing anything or going anywhere. Hey, take it easy, Josh. Love you, man. Be careful. Be safe. So maybe I'll put my nose down to the grindstone and focus in a little bit more. This past week's just been hectic, man. It's the end of the semester and stupid meetings, and bowling started yesterday, by the way. uh Bowling team, girls and boys, started 1-0 yesterday. Pretty decisive wins. So that has cranked up. But the good thing is that it's cranked up, right? We're not leading into it. That's kind of what was hitting me last week. It was the last week before the season started. And my youth league started up on Saturday morning. So all of that hit at the same time. It usually does every year, mid late September. And it's usually like the worst time of year for me. So that kind of was knocking on my door last week, and my daughter's still having some car troubles, man. I'm telling you, it was just all hitting at the same time. So, um, and I like having car troubles is not a big deal to me, but she's 2.5 hours away, like in college. So her car troubles are a little more, they, they hit a little harder. So you never, I don't want her to be on the side of the road, you know. So, but it's all working out. It'll all work out in the end. And now that the leagues and the high school season has started, like we got another match this afternoon, we got a match on Thursday, like, and then I've got 2 weeks off. So during fall break, we don't play. We won't practice either through the first week of fall break, but after that, we'll kind of get going. There you go, starting to get a push. Man, I would see these are the little things like Price is going to push from here and probably not get us in with this type of a buildup. I would have loved to have seen. It's almost like my marker's going out on this thing. Like it's digital. Let's go. I would have liked to have seen a further drop into that inefficiency, closer to into this guy down here. But yeah, that would have been more satisfying. But that's what Price seems to be doing to us lately. Like it's giving us these setups that are pretty, that are nice, and then it's either going close but not in, or further down and then makes the move. Like, yeah, absolutely. You almost have to just kind of, that's like our fundamentals, right? You rely on your fundamentals during the hardest times and stuff. So you got to go back to your fundamentals and just like strict on your stop losses and stuff. I wouldn't like be so plan heavy, be flexible in the plan, but don't be flexible in um the stops and the risk. There you go. And you can't, yeah, you can't go against Coach Wooden. But I mean, and that's what I tell everybody when we're bowling too. Like it's just one of those things. Like you got to remember, you got one job. Like your job is to hit your mark, and if you hit your mark, there's really nothing else you can do. If you've done everything from the back of the approach to the start of the approach, this is all you. Everything up in here has nothing to do with you. So ball's out of your hand, and you just have to, that's where your analysis comes in and all that kind of stuff. You just have to hope that you've made the right choice and mark and whatever. And if so, continue. I really like that. So when you start, that's what I tell everybody. When we're starting to get frustrated and the shot doesn't seem to be right or whatever, just go back. Am I hitting my mark consistently? If I am, is my mark a good mark? Do I need to make an adjustment for there? Am I throwing the right bowling ball? That's but it all goes back to, am I hitting my mark? Am I doing everything from to get to the release point that I need to be doing consistently to keep hitting the same place? So when it comes to trading, that's it. Am I really, is my plan the right plan? Am I waiting for breaks of structure? Am I looking for the right inefficiencies and or order blocks or whatever I'm playing? In when price is coming in, am I hesitating to get in when I need to get in, or am I getting in too early as if I feel like I'm going to miss the trade? That's my issue more than anything. And I think that kind of gets a lot of people is they'll get in too soon thinking that they're going to miss out. Like right in here, I already said this right here looked amazing. I would like to get in, and we haven't gone anywhere. It's right here. When that push was up on the higher time frame, I said it looked really good. And then I'm also saying it on this candle, like I think it looks really good, but yet we're still just consolidating. So wait for the break and then pull back. Because they haven't given us any reason to get in for the most part, right? There's no inefficiency. There's no, other than this mean threshold here, there's no real reason to get into this trade until we have proven that we're breaking up into this liquidity that leaves like gives us displacement and efficiency and a reason to get in. Like back to the fundamentals, right? There we go. So we still got a minute left in this candle. One thing that I also have been practicing too is waiting for the close of certain candles. Um, just been working on the patience in that way. Like there was a time when I would get in right now, thinking, all right, it gave me the displacement I wanted. It's gonna come up here. I might as well go ahead and get in. And then I'll just hold through some of that drawdown, really expecting that thing to get up here. When the real play is wait for this candle to close in the break, right? Because here's the thing, this thing could come all the way back down and leave us like a huge wick right here. And then we're coming back down in inefficiency before we make the move. And that type of drawdown, I don't want to sit through. So 20 more seconds and just force yourself to do that. It's like holding that last rep or, you know, push yourself for one more. Yeah. And then I've been trailing drawdown for entry. Right. Right. And honestly, you wouldn't get in here, right? I'd want to see a pullback. But at the same time, I've almost got to wait for this candle, right? And this is the thing. If I miss, then I miss. Then I'm going to wait a little bit longer for another pullback because if we get all the way up into here, right, fully expect something to drop back down. But again, that kind of follows along with the plan that we were talking about. We get a break above this median. Now we're looking to push it to the Monday high. So just hang out and wait for that entry instead of just trying to jump in here. Your entry might end up being right here. But if you enter now and price decides to pull back and dip back down into this area, below this mean threshold, now you're holding through all that. Whereas if it breaks up and you're not in, leaving inefficiency behind when the price comes back into it, now you can get in. And then this is the pullback. There you go. Right. Classic S curve. Jeremy Newsom. There you go. Patience. Right. That's really it. Like, and there you go. Right. We might not even have a piece of inefficiency in order to get in. Like we might not even have a fair value gap. And if so, then honestly, we shouldn't be trading. Absolutely. And it's one of the hardest things to to you know, I mean, that's trading in a nutshell, right? You never come to the market and not had a trade and not been able to even back trade and look at it and say, oh, well, there was one or there was one. You've never been able to do that. There's always another trade. You miss this one, it's okay. It's probably going to be one setting up pretty soon. Like I really like the way that 3 minute chart looked, but at the same time, it's 3 minute chart. There's no inefficiency on this chart. It's cleaned up everything. Might be a little bit down here, but we come all the way down here. I definitely don't want to be getting into a trade right up in here. Two, looking at it on a 5-minute chart, right? Just trying to talk yourself into a trade. But I think overall today, I mean, we just have to really pay attention to and wait for breaks of structure. I mean, the 1 hour chart right here, I like we've got a little bit of consolidation, but it's kind of in that downward motion. We've got nice structure right here. If price decides it's going to break above the weekly, then yeah, I fully expect us to come right back up here to the daily open and Monday high. Overall, this area right here is what I'd be looking for. And if we continue this week to break above that, then we might start seeing areas up in here. Structure break, structure break. We could start seeing some bullishness. That's what we didn't get last week before news. We did not get the structure breaks that allowed us to push. But I like the ES, the way the ES is looking, just that straight line right there. You can easily draw a channel on it, but if we break above that and hold above that, then I think we're going to continue. And I do think the ES is cleaner than the NQ, especially right now. So, but I think I'm going to end it right here, guys, and head on. I appreciate y'all being here. I'll be here again tomorrow. We'll see how everything works out, and just be safe today. All right. Y'all have a good rest of the day. Thank you, man.